Hello and welcome back. Today we will be looking at the second part of the Daniel Diamond blanket pattern. So during the last video tutorial we talked about what you will need for your project in terms of your tools, materials, how the blanket is constructed, and we started working the first square. Today we will be continuing with the pattern, so we'll work on a couple of more squares. So without any delay, let's dive right into the pattern. So we left off at the end of the first square on the last stitch. We are now going to change to the second color and work on the first color work square. So we will work the background in the darker color, in color B, with the diamond at the center. So I'm going to work a smaller version. I will talk you through how to do it. So on your full size square you will have 2 rows of working in color B. So we are going to change to color B first. I'm going to move the blanket slightly. Okay, so we've got last 2 loops of color A on the hook. We'll place the new color over and pull through this, and by doing this we will end up with the first stitch on the hook in the second color, and that's what we want. You will then work 2 rows of Tunisian Simple stitch in your color B. For my mini swatch I'm only going to work a 1 row before starting the color work. So I'm going to let you go ahead and work 2 rows in color B, and I'll meet you at the beginning of the 3rd row where we start working the color work. So I'm back to the beginning of the next row, so you will be on the 3rd row of the second square, and you will work 10 stitches in your color B. So I'm going to work 4 stitches to get to the center of the square, and the stitch that is already on the hook, the first, also counts as a stitch. So I've got 4 stitches but I only worked 3. I will now grab the color A. You've got 2 options. You can either disconnect the yarn at the end of the first square, or if you don't mind the float at the back, then you will just kind of carry it over to this position where you are in the middle of the square. So this will be your stitch number 11, including the edge stitch, and we will simply insert the hook as for Tunisian Simple stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So this would be as if we were working Tunisian Simple stitch but adding the new color. So for this row we only work 1 stitch in the new color, and then you change back to color B for the next stitch. So you will grab the yarn at the back of your project. You need to cross the yarn over the previous color and continue working up all the way to the end of your row. So this is as for normal Tunisian Simple stitch row all across. Now we also need to change the color on the return pass to make sure that the color changes on the forward and return pass match. And the way to do it is when the second stitch from the hook, from the top of the hook or the tip of the hook, is in the color that we are going to work with, that's where you change the yarn. Okay, so we drop the color B, get the color A. Again we need to cross over the colors. The reason why we cross over is to avoid gaps. If we didn't do it, we can end up with gaps between stitches. Then you yarn over, pull through 2 once, because we only work 1 stitch in the color A. Then you again drop the color, pick the new color, and continue working in color B. And so for the next row you will need to change color 1 stitch before and 1 stitch after. So you will have 3 stitches in color A. So the way to do it is you come to the place or to the stitch that now needs to have the color A. Again, you drop the colors, cross them over, work the 3 stitches in color A and then change back to color B, like so. Okay, now we are going to again work the return pass, change to color A, work 3 stitches, so yarn over pull through 1, yarn over pull through, sorry, 2, 2 again, and 2 again, to have 3 stitches in color A. Okay, so this is the place where you can still use the same ball of yarn. However, after you have these 3 stitches worked like this, what I would advise is that you get the next color and change your color on one side and then have another ball of yarn for the other sides to avoid long floats. So as you can see here at the beginning, I still carried over the yarn. However, for the next row where I've had 5 stitches to cross, that's where I had 1 ball of yarn on one side and 1 ball on the other side, so that the color changes are really neat. And then you can just weave in the ends and make it even neater. Okay, so from there, from the next row, I advise you to have 2 balls of yarn attached to the square, working the color B from different balls on each side. Okay, or if you don't mind floats, you can still keep it the way it is. Just bear in mind that if you keep your floats, you can always trap them at the end once you are weaving in your ends. You can even work the whole diamond just using the methods of the stranded color work, where you carry over the yarn. However, once you carry over the yarn, this side of the project is a little bit thicker, so that's just something to bear in mind. You might just not mind that it will be a little bit thicker and bulky. It just might be the way you like it. It's just something to consider when you're working color work. On the other side, if you're changing the color on the side, as I've decided for this project, you will end up with quite a few strands of yarn to weave in. But again, if you don't mind weaving in your yarn, that's not a problem. You can always do it as you go, so you won't have hundreds of ends to weave in at the end of your project. Okay, so I'm going to let you go ahead and work the diamonds. So you've got the chart for the diamonds on my blog. I'm going to leave the link in the description below, so you will have access to that. So you will continue increasing the stitches up to the middle section and then decrease the same way. And then you've got another 2 rows in color B at the top, so the diamonds are kind of centered, 2 rows on each side, top and bottom, and then you've got 4 stitches on left and right. And then I'll meet you back at the end of the square. Okay, welcome back. So I've done my mini square with the diamond, so you would be now in the pattern at this point. I've got last 2 loops of my square of the return pass of color B. So now I'm going to get color A. Again, I'm keeping the yarn attached, but you would have the yarn cut and you would be reattaching here at the beginning. So yarn over pull through 2. I am now going to work the 3rd square, and the 3rd square is plain square in color A. So this would be your row 35 to 51, and this will be all worked in color A, Tunisian simple stitch throughout. So you would start working Tunisian simple stitches like so, and continue working the whole square in Tunisian simple stitch in one color. So I'm going to let you to work on the square, and I'll meet you again here at this point where we will start the square number 4 for this panel. Welcome back. So I'm now starting to work the 4th square of the blanket. So we are here at this point where we are going to attach the color B and work a plain square in color B. So this will be your rows 52 to 68, and this will be worked entirely in color B. So as before, we add the color and we start working Tunisian simple stitches all throughout. So this is another practice square where you're practicing your stitches because it's all in one color, so you don't need to worry about any color work, changing yarns on forward return pass. This is one of those relaxing squares. So this will be the last square for today's tutorial, and tomorrow we are going to continue with the pattern further along. So again, the pattern is on my blog, and if you feel brave, you can go ahead and see how far you get. If not, and you prefer to have a little bit of extra guidance, we'll be continuing with the 5th square in the next lesson. So I would meet you here at the beginning of this square. We'll be working, changing into color A, and then working the chart 2 where you've got the background in color A and the center diamond is in color B. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know in the comment section below what colors have you decided to use and what type of yarn have you decided to use, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.